Bhaktivedanta Krishna prestaya bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtadadesha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Shri Narasimhadev ki jai. Prabhupada ki. It's short. It's short or it's longer. Yeah. 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 Good. Just put my eyes as well.
Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutaye Swayam Rupa Kadadmayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunath Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savdhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripre Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutaye Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajarane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prasyatya Desatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before we begin class, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees and those who are listening online. So, thank you. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 21. So, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha, Tat Tad Evataro Jnana, Sa Yat Pramanam Kurate, Lokastad Anuvartate, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha, Tat Tad Evataro Jnana, Sayat Pramanam Kurute, Lokastad Anuvartate. So, not sure if any. Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha, Tat Tad Evataro Jnana, Sayat Pramanam Kurute, Lokastad Anuvartate, Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha, Tat Tad Evataro Jnana, Sayat Pramanam Kurute, Lokastad Anuvartate. And translation: whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. And the purport: people in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So yes, this was a very a nice verse to actually have to speak about. So, as it's mentioned that anyone, as Srila Prabhupada mentions himself about this, when one is considered a great person, it's actually do with influence, or one who's in a position of power, like leadership. So one who's in modern days, the ones who are in this position are the politicians, the prime ministers, and so on and so forth. But also we can see in the modern context, whatever people of influence do, others will generally follow. For example, these fashion trends set by celebrities. So much hairstyles just by anyone who is popular, and it becomes trendy all of a sudden. So that's why we have to be careful, and society has to be careful to try and monitor in which way these people of influence can actually have this influence over the general population, and to have ideally responsible people in places of influence. So I want to begin by going through some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which very nicely explains, especially from the Supreme Lord's example, about how leadership works in Vedic culture and devotional life. So this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, Text 38. So it's instructions by Maharaj Prithu. So Brahmanya Deva Purusa Puratano Nityam Hariryach Charana Vidan Danat Avapka Laksmin Anapya Yanim Yaso Jagat Pavitram Cha Mahatam Grani. The Supreme Person is described herein as Brahmanya Deva. Brahmanya refers to the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas, or the Brahminical culture, and Deva means worshipable Lord. Therefore, unless one is on the transcendental platform of being a Vaishnav, or on the highest platform of material goodness as a Brahmana, he cannot appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the lower stages of ignorance and passion, it is difficult to appreciate or understand the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the Lord is described herein as the worshipable deity for persons in Brahminical and Vaishnav culture. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Ditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So from the Vishnu Purana 1:1965. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the prime protector of Brahminical culture and the cow. Without knowing and respecting these, one cannot realize the science of God. And without this knowledge, any welfare activities or humanitarian propaganda cannot be successful. The Lord is Purusa, or the Supreme Enjoyer. Not only is He the Enjoyer when He appears as a manifested incarnation, but he is the enjoyer since time immemorial, and from the very beginning, Purutanaha, and eternally, Nityam, Yat Charanan Vivandanat. Prithu Maharaj said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead attained this opulence of eternal fame simply by worshipping the lotus feet of the Brahmanas. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord does not need to work to achieve material gain. Since he is perpetually, supremely perfect, he does not need to obtain anything. But still it is said that he obtained his opulences by worshipping the lotus feet of the Brahmanas. These are his exemplary actions. When Lord Shri Krishna was in Dwarka, he offered his respects by bowing down at the lotus feet of Narada. When Sudama Vipra came to his house, Lord Krishna personally washed his feet and gave him a seat on his personal bed. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna offered his respects to Maharaj Yudhisthira and Kunti. The Lord's exemplary behavior is to teach us. We should learn from his personal behavior how to give protection to the cow, how to cultivate Brahminical qualities, and how to respect the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the verse we are on, 321 today, Yad Yad Acharati Trestast Tad Tad Evatarojana. If the leading personalities behave in a certain manner, others follow them automatically. Who can be more of a leading personality than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose behavior could be more exemplary? It is not that he needed to do all these things to acquire material gain, but all of these acts were performed just to teach us how to behave in this material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described herein as Mahatma Agrini. Within this material world, the Mahatmas, or great personalities, are Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, but he is above them all. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is in a transcendental position, above everything created within this material world. His opulence, his riches, his beauty, his wisdom, his knowledge, his renunciation, and his reputation are all Jagat Pavitram, universally purifying. The more we discuss these opulences, the more the universe becomes purer and purer. In the material world, the opulences possessed by a material person are never fixed. Today one may be a very rich man, but tomorrow he may become poor. Today one is very famous, but tomorrow he may be infamous. Materially obtained opulences are never fixed, but all six opulences perpetually exist in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only in the spiritual world, but also in this material world, Lord Krishna's reputation is fixed, and his book of wisdom, Bhagavad Gita, is still honored. Everything pertaining to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally existing. So yes, here's an example about Lord Shri Krishna. He didn't need to. He's Atma Rama. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't need to, but he knows if he doesn't behave in a certain way, and then others will not follow his example. So as it's described, he washed the feet of those Brahminical visitors who came to his house. He did so many things. He took the position of servant in terms of being a chariot driver for Arjuna, and so he was typically leading by example. And another such incident also is from Lord Chaitanya. So it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 5152. It says, after hearing the story about how his staff had been broken, the Lord expressed a little sadness, and displaying a bit of anger, he began to speak as follows. Sri Nityananda Prabhu considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the staff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all sannyasis that they should not give up the staff before attaining the platform of Paramahansa. Seeing that the regulative principles could be slackened by such action, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the staff personally. However, Nityananda broke it. For this reason, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed a little anger. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita 3.2.1, Yad yad acharati shrestas, tatad evataro jana. Whatever great people do, others follow. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who try to imitate Paramahansas. So, Srila Prabhupada, I was reading that he mentioned not everyone, not the whole world needs to become Krishna conscious, but he said only, even if it's 5%, and people who are in places of influence, the leaders of society, then the whole world will naturally follow. So the question is, when one is favorable towards a society is favorable towards Krishna consciousness, what is the way in which to maintain this society, and how can it be tranquil and be harmony throughout society? So there is many examples, and particularly one is King Yudhisthira from the Bhagavad Gita, especially how it's implemented. So King Yudhisthira is a Kshatriya, and we can see that he took shelter of his advisors, unlike Dhritarashtra, which was a good example to compare in terms of even though, don't get me wrong, Dhritarashtra his kingdom was running very nicely in that respect, but naturally it brought about the end of their dynasty actually, due to not listening to the advice of the Brahminical advisors. So it says in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.10.3, Maharaj Yudhisthira, after being enlightened was spoken by Bhishmadev and Lord Sri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, because all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas, and was followed by his younger brothers. The modern English law of primogeniture, or the law of inheritance by the firstborn, was also prevalent in those days when Maharaj Yudhisthira ruled the earth and seas. So we can see that many times it's often, even where I was from, even in Ireland, there are some things that were still followed from tradition, like giving the house to the firstborn son and things like this, which would, like going back to my grandparents and things like this, there were still elements of society, even bowing down even to priests was something which was practiced maybe 50 years ago or so in Ireland. But these things are all, naturally, as Kali Yuga progresses, any traditions, they're being forgotten. So we can see that there's so much wisdom in the Vedic scriptures, actually, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that Srila Prabhupada has actually shared a lot in his purports about what's the best way to actually implement it in terms of Vanashrana Dharma and Brahminical culture. But I'll just continue for now. So the law of inheritance by the firstborn was also prevalent in those days when Maharaj Yudhisthira ruled the earth and seas. In those days, the king of Hastinapur, now part of New Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including the seas. And up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhisthira, Maharaj Yudhishthir's younger brothers were acting as his ministers and commanders of state, and there was full cooperation between the perfectly religious brothers of the king. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the ideal king or representative of Lord Sri Krishna to rule over the kingdom of earth, and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, Vayu are representative of kings of different planets of the universe, and similarly Maharaj Yudhishthir was also one of them, ruling over the kingdom of the earth. Maharaj Yudhishthir was not a typically unenlightened political leader of modern democracy. Maharaj Yudhishthir was instructed by Bhishma Dev and the infallible Lord also, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The modern elected executive head of a state is just like a puppet, because he has no kingly power. Even if he is enlightened like Maharaj Yudhishthir, he cannot do anything out of his own good will due to his constitutional position. Therefore there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of ideological differences or other selfish motives. But a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir had no ideology of his own. He had but to follow the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative and the authorized agent Bhishma Dev. It is instructed in the Shastras that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore it was possible for Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule the whole world, including the seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That is the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, the executive head must be a trained person like Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of a perfect king like Maharaj Yudhishthir. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule over the world. So I'm just going to continue on to another verse which it gives very nice details about how such a culture is run. Actually, is in the same chapter 4 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4 actually. So it's SP 422. So King Prithu continued, "By the grace of the Supreme Lord, I have been appointed the king of this planet, and I carry the scepter to rule the citizens, protect them from all danger, and give them employment according to their respective positions in the social order established by Vedic injunction." A king is supposed to be appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to look after the interest of his particular planet. On every planet there is a predominating person, just as we now see that in every country there is a president. If one is president or king, it should be understood that his opportunity has been given to him by the Supreme Lord, according to the Vedic system. The king is considered a representative of Godhead and is offered respects by the citizens as God in the human form of life. Actually, according to the Vedic information, the Supreme Lord maintains all living entities, and especially human beings, to elevate them to the highest perfection. After many births in lower species, when the living entity evolves to the human form of life, and in particular to the civilized human form of life, his society must be divided into 4 gradations, as ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 4 social orders, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are natural divisions of human society, and as declared by Prithu Maharaj, every man in his respective social order must have proper employment for his livelihood. It is the duty of the king or the government to ensure that the people observe the social order and that they are also employed in their respective occupational duties. In modern times, since the protection of the government or the king has been withdrawn, social order has practically collapsed. No one knows who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, or who is a Sudra, and people claim to belong to a particular social order by birthright only. It is the duty of the government to re-establish social order in terms of occupational duties and the modes of material nature, for that will make the entire world population actually civilized. If it does not observe the institutional functions of the four social orders, human society is no better than animal society, in which there is never tranquility, peace and prosperity, but only chaos and confusion. Maharaj Prithu, as an ideal king, strictly observed the maintenance of the Vedic social order. So, Prajayate iti praja, the word praja refers to one who takes birth. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj guaranteed protection for prajanam, all living entities who took birth in his kingdom. Praja refers not only to human beings, but also to animals, trees, and every other living entity. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and the rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher, his land, and his government. So we can see how far strayed society is right now from the ideal. So just before we finish, I'd like to read one more verse which will really show how catastrophic this is for society. Actually, the fact that there's no order in society, and there is no system, and there is no mundane ideologies which are prevalent. So this is just a few verses on from the last one, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.2.4. Any king who does not teach his citizens about their respective duties in terms of varna and ashram, who simply exacts tolls and taxes from them, is liable to suffer for the impious activities which have been performed by the citizens. In addition to such degradation, the king also loses his own fortune. So, yes, a king, governor, or president should not take the opportunity to occupy his post without also discharging his duty. He must teach the people within the state how to observe the divisions of varna and ashram. If a king neglects to give such instructions and to simply satisfy with levying taxes, then those who share in the collection, namely all the government servants and the head of state, are liable to share in the impious activities of the general masses. The laws of nature are very subtle. For example, if one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant reaction of the sinful activities performed there. It is a Vedic system, therefore, for a householder to call Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat at the ceremonial performances in his house, because the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas can immunize him from sinful activities. But it is not the duty of rigid Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitations everywhere. There is, of course, no objection to taking part in feasts in which prasadam is distributed. There are many subtle laws which are practically unknown to people in general, but the Krishna conscious movement is very scientifically distributing all this Vedic knowledge for the benefit of the people of the world. And just one more that emphasizes at this point is it's just two verses after this in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.6. I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers, and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death the result of an action is equally shared by its doer, its director, and its supporter. The government of Prithu Maharaj was perfect because it was administered exactly according to the orders of the Vedic injunctions. Prithu Maharaj has already explained that the chief duty of the government is to see that everyone executes his respective duty and is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness. The government should be so conducted that automatically one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. King Prithu therefore wanted his citizens to cooperate fully with him, for if they assented, they would enjoy the same profit as he after death. If Prithu Maharaj as a perfect king were elevated to the heavenly planets, the citizens who cooperated by approving of his methods would also be elevated with him. Since the Krishna consciousness movement going on at the present moment is genuine, perfect and authorized, and is following in the footsteps of Prithu Maharaj, anyone who cooperates with this movement or accepts its principles will get the same result as the workers who are actively propagating Krishna consciousness. So yeah, that goes to show that, and likewise, when we are in governments in the material world who are supporting impious kings, and then it leads to more catastrophe in afterlife. So we can see it's very, when we see it in the scriptures, it's very sobering actually about the current state of world affairs. So please, we can only pray that the Krishna consciousness movement will become more prominent in society. So, Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, and all assembled devotees ki, Jai. Krishna. And I just wonder if there's any questions. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. 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 Thank you, Boo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
she was cooking the 9 o'clock offering in the evening. I'm just like, are you alright? You want me to come in the evening and I'll help you? She's like, I'll tell you something, Mitra, when lockdown opens, I'm not going to get any of my services, or I'm going to get very limited services. It's going to be open up to all the public again. If I've got the opportunity right now, I need to take it. That made me think, even if it doesn't matter how tired I am, you have to just do it, right? That's the time. So it was really nice, like the fact that she said that to me yesterday. So, yeah. You're right. So I'm back again tomorrow. I'm back again on Sunday. No, and Saturday and Sunday, sorry.
That's inspiring.
So let's see, maybe Saturday or Sunday. The thing is, I think it's always going to be like that. Saturday's good there. Saturday's not until fruit offering anyway, yeah? So maybe after fruit offering, if you're free, but I'll message you.
You know, even like in between your services, spontaneously see each other.
I get it, which I love. And that was a wonderful class.
Oh, thank you.
I was listening and I'm just like, mate, like, you nailed it.
Well, thank you. I was really good at it.
Beautifully, honestly,
Well,
really, really nice.
thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
It makes the evening services go faster and it makes them nicer because you guys are reading or singing together.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, when there's nothing going on, I have to hear these guys breathe. And not about the lordships, because I'd love to hear them breathe. About the biggies. Okay, so, do you need anything?
Me, no. The certain devotees, I think Roberto, you know, he's always in need of something. I told him which central would like to serve.
Yeah, no, I've told him before anyway.
Yeah.
But because I see you, I can ask you.
Yeah.
If I see him on Saturday or Sunday, I'll ask him. So stay healthy and rest.
Yeah.
So much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So nice to see you again.
example.